Hey there. I just kind of want to do a little practice. I developed a spread that I'm going to use for my 15-minute readings that I'm going to do this weekend at an event. And I thought, oh, can I even do a reading in 15 minutes? You know? And so we're going to try. And then I thought, well, let's record it and see, let's give this reading to somebody. If it's helpful for you, if it's meant for you, if it has a message for you, then it is for you. And that's why you were drawn to watch it. Okay? I can feel the swelling in my face increasing. I just ate some rice noodles, and that rice noodles is one of the things my body doesn't want to do anymore, I guess. That's okay, as long as I get this done in the next 15 minutes, I should have the energy to sustain it. Okay. And can we just get an advice? Okay. So what I did was a past, present, future reading. So here we go. We're at 2 minutes, and I would guess that I'm going to spend a few moments greeting the person that I'm reading for, saying hello, how are you, thank you for being here, and then we're going to get right into the reading. So, if it takes me 2 minutes to deal things out, well, so be it. What am I leaving behind? Certain daily habits are being left behind. The daily habit of telling yourself the stories about betrayal and loss and the crisis. It's certain beliefs that you've held for a long time. Like, this is something that's sustained for a very long time and maybe was taught to you as a child. And it's a way that you've, operated as far as like reliving certain traumatic events. Reliving the story of things that happened to you, things that made you feel victimized and wronged and wounded and that kept you in crisis. Okay? In the present moment, you might not be there quite yet, but you're wanting to be in where you wake up every day and expect something wondrous will occur. And where you actually are is, I don't think you've stepped off of the place where you still have that old story rattling. So that old story still starts playing the moment you wake up. So you probably have a routine in the morning that you've been having for a long time. Let me just look at these clarifiers. And perhaps you know this now, actually. These clarifiers are showing me that you are waking up every day expecting something new. You are celebrating the friendships and the creativity and the collaborations that you have going on. You may be in a state of celebration, celebrating your life, celebrating that you're alive. And this may be because you have a new abundant opportunity. Something that you wanted to manifest has come to be. What are you headed towards? Peace and fulfillment. Peace and fulfillment. So, once you have made this a practice, an everyday practice, where you're aligning with your inner goals, you may want it to be easier. You may like do less planning. Like maybe you were doing a lot of planning and now you're just kind of going to get in the flow and let creativity lead you. And make that your routine. Taking inspired action, knowing that there's new opportunities all the time, that there's always a growth potential. You know, every crisis, every ending, every wound and betrayal also brings with it a growth potential. And I think you are going to make a routine out of being free. You know, just surrendering to what is and going with the flow of what you are inspired to. Okay, so advices for where you've been. The advice was dig in and see it through to completion. So persevere. Like, it was very tough and you had to persevere through very difficult situation. Like something that was heavy, something that was, you know, I think this is Spirit's way of validating the struggle that you've been through. And the reason for that is because in the present moment you're trying to leave that struggle behind. And before it is fully left behind, it needs to be validated and accepted. Like, that happened. Like, you're not in this moment starting a new way because you are ignoring that happened, or pretending it didn't happen, or suppressing and denying the feelings that you still had about that happening. But you're accepting that it happened, and then you're loving the part of yourself that experienced it. So in the present moment, the advice is let go of control. Yeah, so when we try to control, it's like we're fighting what is. You know, and what is maybe an echo of the past. And why fight the past? If we accept the past, then we can integrate it, then we can take it as the wisdom that it was there to offer us, right? So your present moment advice is to let go of control, to surrender. You know, and this is just, this isn't like giving up on life, this is surrendering to what is. If there's a challenge in front of you, you surrender the part of you that wants to fight against the challenge and just take the challenge head on. Surrender to the want to change what is, whether it be you know, a challenge or not. You know, when we're in joy, when we're in happiness, when we're enjoying the present moment, we're surrendering to now. We're surrendering to what is. That's how we get to enjoy it, right? And the advice for the future is speak less and listen more. So this is encouraging you, saying that your energy shows that you are heading to a time of being more receptive, of applying your empathy to a situation by listening. And this is because presence is the hottest commodity there is. It's the only commodity, really, because what you put your focus on is what you are paying attention to. And when we say paying attention, your attention is the only thing that has value. Because whatever you put your attention on grows. Whatever you put your attention on amplifies, and whatever you put your attention on is what you experience. And so you're making a container from which you can allow this, you know, flow to happen, this drama-free peace, fulfillment, inspiration, new opportunities, new growth. Okay? Alright, so that's the whole entire spread, and it only took me, 7.5 minutes, and I had to repeat things. So I'm thinking there's something more I can do with this reading. If that's what you got, then what would you want to know? If I was a person getting a reading, what do I have to do? Yes, what do I have to do to get there? Well, I mean, actually, it's surrender. What you have to do is accept what was and be present with what is. That's all you have to do. It's so simple. And we humans do want to complicate it, so let's get it a little complicated. Spirit, let's have a couple where we've been. Okay. So in the past, what it was you were experiencing was some karmic stuff. This is stuff that your soul came to experience. And the reason we come to experience certain things is because we need those experiences to achieve what we came to achieve, right? In the present moment, it was like down to the wire for you to complete all that and to let it go. And there may be some things unclear. It's like, well, why did I experience that? Like that might be in the present moment. And that's only because you haven't accepted it. And once you accept it, once you, are able to accept that it happened, only then can you see past it to start seeing the whys, right? Because while you're in something and while you're fighting against it, that's what your mind and your focus, your attention is busy doing. And not until you settle it, balance it out, and be okay with it, so you're not fighting against what is anymore, which was that tug of war, which was keeping you distracted. Now you can see above it. Now you can look at it for what it is, look at both sides of it, because your attention is no longer torn away from you and preoccupied with trying to change the reality that you actually came to experience. I mean, it was painful. That's why you wanted to avoid it. It's a human reaction. So it's like you're using your higher consciousness, your mind, to move through something that was difficult. And in the future, I think that you may be surrounded by things that, like, you don't love and things that are causing chaos, and you may even be using your blind desire to achieve something, to get through something. In the future, when you are in this surrendered state in the future, that you're going to be avoiding things like unrequited love. You're going to be avoiding things like people who are just here to betray you. You're going to be avoiding things like victimizing others, even accidentally, or the revenge of others. You're going to be immune and above the acts like that. And I think you'll see them. I do think that you will see them. And that's why it's specific that you're going to be in your own zone. And that might be scary when I say that, but like specifically, there's some situations that you may be really curious about, but also skeptical about. And I think within a week here, you're going to see that by minding your own business, by surrendering to what is, by staying in your flow and going with what you were focused on, you have avoided a risk that you had not even considered had you indulged in those things. Like, you're kind of narrowly missing something that actually is another painful thing. That's why it's down to the wire for you to do this. And you're surrendering and going in blind faith, really. Blind faith in your higher power, in the fact that you're being guided, in the fact that you're intuitively able to tap into the flow of things, to navigate around some very difficult things in which you don't even understand the risk. You know, not everything in the past could have been integrated yet in order to avoid this. So being in the flow is really going to let you get above it. Any final thoughts here, Spirit? Doing what you love. Showing, who you really are to the people, being honest, authentic. and vulnerable, specifically with another person, is going to clear karma. So if you don't feel sure, if you feel like the risk is too great, if you feel like it's unrequited love, if you feel like this person's going to be eating your babies, like, you know, and talk about also the things that will do work for you. And maybe through this adding love, you know, it's like adding love doesn't mean glossing over things that are difficult to speak about. It means including things that aren't working for you, and including things that do work for you. And then, you know, that's authenticity and that's vulnerability. And that can only happen in the presence of moment, where you don't have an agenda. You're not trying to control things that already happened. You're not trying to avoid things that already happened. You're not trying to avoid things that will happen. You're trusting your heart. You're trusting the flow. You're having faith. Faith is what gets you through an upcoming difficult situation. And it's important that you do take the high road for, you know, if you would like to avoid repeating an old cycle. And avoidance of repeating that cycle, is clearing your karma for it. And so basically it's like the same stuff that was happening is going to try to resurface, and then you're going to handle it a new way because you've taken the time to be with yourself. That's what it is. Okay. Well, that was very lovely, and thank you for spending your time with me. And I looked at the time, and I did go like a minute over, but there was also times in the first part of the reading that I just more or less repeated what I had said already. So I think with a little less repeating, I could definitely get that reading done in 15 minutes. Now that might leave someone with questions, and I didn't leave a lot of time for that. So there may be something with using my astrology oracle sooner in the reading. I'm going to probably post this and give it a couple tries, right? So let's go on to pick number 2, or reading number 2. Let's pretend you're a new person, right? Hi. Nice to see you today. Thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it. And because we're on a little bit of a time crunch, I'm just going to get right into the reading for you. Hopefully you've read my disclaimer and information on the sign-up sheet. If you didn't, I would invite you to do that right now while I'm shuffling. And we're going to look at past, present, and future. And so far this is a fun reading. I enjoyed it. Using the spread, looking at things in this way. And our last card is going to be an advice. Have you had a reading before? Do you do cards yourself? I'm not going to ask too many questions of people, actually, because if you get someone who talks a lot, they're going to take up all their own time. I've done that to myself in a reading before. Okay, so lessons learned. All right, here we go. It takes me 2 minutes to shuffle and deal the cards. All right, so I'll take that into consideration. We're at 19 minutes, so. What am I leaving behind? A lack of self-confidence, exhaustion, burnout, stagnation, impulsivity, and maybe a partnership. Maybe an attraction that you had towards something. maybe something that was healing you but isn't anymore. Oh, you're leaving behind the thought that you cannot get out of a situation. Yes. Okay. Where are you now? You may be feeling kind of low without enough. You may be feeling like there isn't enough in some way, shape, or form. Love, money, time. Something is feeling lacking for you. And maybe you like have a lot of stuff and you think things should be going well, but you know, it's not money that you're lacking necessarily, but it's like the satisfaction. Like maybe you're saving a lot of money and just being really conservative with your money, saving it, kind of really like being frugal and things like that, like paying attention to what and how you spend. Yeah. Okay. So you're looking at your own abundance from a scarcity mindset in a way. Saving for a rainy day, you know, stuff like that. And the advice for this now moment is the dragonfly illusion. You know who you really are. So I feel like you're trying to emulate this abundant creature that you know yourself to be. However, there's an underlying foundational belief that is keeping you in lack, which is kind of anchoring you into this place that you're in, feeling dissatisfied. And that's, you know, just a continuation of where you had been. Okay? And where are you headed? Figuring this out on your own. I think you like to take things into your own hands, do things on your own without asking for help. And you are headed to being more clear and able to make decisions, to be an authority in something, to tell the truth easily, to see the truth easily. I think you're going to be looking to heal yourself in some way. Taking a pause. There's, you know, you may feel imbalanced in some way because of a decision that you make about how to make sense of something. But you will be feeling more creative. Yeah, the imbalance is that, like, your mind wants to make up your mind. You want to make up your mind about something, like, and decide so that you can be clear. And maybe you will, like, decide something and be so clear about it. But then there's this other part of you that's, you know, more creative and romance and charm and imagination and beauty oriented, and that part of you is not exactly in balance with the other part. So there's some need to balance these things out, realign yourself. You know, the advice is you always have a choice. Okay, so maybe it's kind of indicating that there's a choice to be made, and not making that choice is causing you to be out of balance. Yeah. Yeah. Now we're at 7 minutes. Okay, so it takes 7 minutes to do that part of the reading. And then we're going to do the astrology extras here. Okay, Spirit, let's give us something about the past. Well, I think you've been trying to really have a lot of hope and innocent about a situation that you've been in, perhaps in love. And I think you've been really devoted. I think that you may have also been using your intuition to navigate, or your own cards, or your own oracle, your own psychic abilities. But you have these like feral energies trying to push you in a certain direction. Like the partnership that you were in, or if that was the case, it could be any type of partnership. You know, it doesn't have to be romantic, but could be. But the one that comes to mind when I'm talking about these things, it's a past life connection, and it's here to bring you truth. There's some sort of progressed way. There's some sort of way that you had been relating based on the progress that you made up to this point in your life. I think you held on to hope. Use your free will to hold on to hope in that situation for a long time. Okay, but whatever it was, it must not have been very fulfilling, because you have this dissatisfied, you know, state currently. So I think you made a lot of progress. I do think that these were all important steps, and then the step that you're on now, you know, you may have felt a little stuck for a while, and now you're realizing there are certain things that you can do, and you're trying to do them, but the cards here would indicate that you may not be acting with as much faith as you could be for who you really are. Currently looking for justice on a situation where you had been distracted from something that you really love. It's like this cycle held you prisoner for a while, in a way, like distracted you with pretty hope. Yeah. But this is built into your experience, and right now, you know, you may be feeling kind of down and like, God, I put all that work in and I don't see the payoff. Where is the justice? Did I waste my time? And things like that. Well, you're seeing the other side of what it's like to kind of be in a situation where there's some sort of manipulation going on. Whether it's you manipulating yourself into continuing in a cycle that wasn't fulfilling you, and, you know, always having hope, is that hope, like, is there another opposing force? It's like you need justice, but you have hope for a situation that is not bringing you justice, you know? And it's like, if you're very powerful, and it seems like you are, then this is like always gonna leave you dissatisfied and leave you distracted and kind of leave you feeling down, because it's like your own thoughts are working against you in a way. And this is just a karmic cycle. You know, you are a very powerful being who's been here on Earth before. Many, many times. Okay? And as you clear up these energies that you had been experiencing over and over again, you know, it's not wrong, all the things you believed. It's just that some of these things are not appropriate for the situation that you're in. And so it's kind of like a level of discernment that you're learning. It's like, okay, it's this in this situation, this in this situation. It's like maybe you were using a universal truth to operate, but there needs to be more discernment for separate situations, kind of like that. But this is the time for you to, like, embody that part of yourself. It wasn't time before. Like, you know, you were in somebody else's karmic cycle too, not just yours. So as souls, you know, who came in to, you know, act out these parts for each other, like, the other person had to learn too. You're now able to bring in the parts of yourself from other lifetimes. This is happening over the next weeks and the next 2 months, the next 48 hours. You know, this could come through communication, but definitely through ending cycles, because once you end cycles, you make room for new ones. There could be changes in your home or changes to the foundation of who you are. Very powerful, like things that couldn't be avoided. But you're building a bridge of from one way of being to another way of being, and this in itself makes this available for all others on earth. This is a gift that you're realizing that you have to offer. Not just your own life, but this will benefit others as well. You're bringing it to earth. It's only through this situation could you have realized it. So the soul, there's an expired soul contract, so there's probably someone going to be leaving your life, and you know, then you're going to be going down under into your subconscious to create balance. There is definitely imbalance between using your mind and using your heart, and it's something that through this lack of balance you'll be motivated with the knowledge that you've gained up to this point to create the balance, and you're going to do it in your own unique way, a way that nobody else has done. And this isn't an answer that this oracle is going to be able to give you. Of course, this is a 15-minute reading, so something that you'd want to dig in more within your own, you know, intuitive abilities, which you do have. Okay. That's very beautiful. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope that is helpful in some way. And if you need more, if you'd like to book a personal reading, you can get me on my website. Okay, I also have lots of free pick-a-cards on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Okay. Alright, let's go for 3. Alright, 3, what are you leaving behind? You're in the present, where are you headed? Well, well. Let's get some clarifiers. Oh, this wanted to be in reverse. Fine. Just making sure. Okay, and advice. Do we want to use this for advice? Yes. Yes, we do. Oh, I love this advice. Okay. Let's just jump right into the reading. And we're doing past, present, future. So what are you leaving behind? I think you're leaving behind a certain expectation. Of how things were going to be. It's like, okay, it's like a bypass of, it's like you expected things to go a certain way, but you just kept expecting and kept expecting without looking under the surface of why things were the way they were, to discover the discrepancy in how you were feeling on the inside versus what you were expecting on the outside. Like, everything that's happened in the past is just, is fair, according to what your energy has been. But it may feel like you had a lot of like false hope or unfulfilled wishes and things like that. It's like you wanted something, but you didn't really, on the inside, trust or know that you could have it. Maybe you did a lot of like fancy dancing, like talking in ways to try to insert your belief or interpreting situations in a way that with a little bit of rose-colored glasses and things like that. Seeing fairness where there wasn't any, for instance. And the advice is to have an attitude of gratitude. So even though that was the case, you know, I think that you do stay in gratitude a lot, and I think that's how you stayed afloat, but you couldn't quite get past, you know, where you were capped at, I think. And so maybe having gratitude for the fact that it didn't come yet because you weren't quite ready, you weren't quite lined up with it yet, something like that. And where you are presently. Maybe you have a lot of disorganization around you, or that card came in reversed, so let's make sure. Okay, or maybe you are very organized. I think from this general reading, it could be either, but I think when I have a person in front of me, I'll know by feeling them. And currently, there's an inner tension that is being avoided. And I think you know it. And I think that you know it's perfect. You know, it got you to here. And you know that things are turning. I think you know things are turning in your favor, even though this has been the case. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So the advice is thoughts create your reality. So it's kind of an invitation to look deeper, organize your thoughts. You know, look at the organization of your thoughts. The ones that have not really been paid attention to much. And what are you headed towards? Tying up loose ends, following through on projects, enjoying the feeling that comes from a job well done. You may be being more of like a hard-driven person than patient and kind. And respectful of your soft places. Like there may be a tendency to swing in this other direction of really being hard on yourself when you realize that this is how your internal voice has been. Like you may really pick up that patriarchy, like that paternal inner voice, whereas you may have had the much more maternal inner voice, but or this maternal outer voice, actually, I think it was. And now there's like a paternal inner voice. It's like the inner voice is more stern, I think, is where you're where you're headed. But I think you'll balance out your femininity. Yes, yes, okay. So you're heading to a place where you're much more balanced. Yes, you're the soft, gentle, nurturing, loving being, but you also get things done when they need to be done and address the things within yourself that need to be addressed. So that's probably something you've been doing in present time anyhow, and, you know, working towards and figuring out how to do all along. But it looks like you're headed towards Ace of Swords, a breakthrough, some more clarity, you know, holding back on recklessness and risk-taking, and really being in your receptive mode, the Empress. That's where you're headed. And the advice is understand your body. So perhaps this is about reestablishing your relationship with your body in a more healthy manner, and that would mostly include your inner talk. Let's take some water, shall we? That was actually my raw cacao. It's kind of sweet. I got a lot of honey in there. Okay, from the past, the astrology from the past. And I feel like you did feel like you were being driven. It's just like you also felt stuck. And it caused a bit of chaos, and I think it caused you to invest in things that didn't pay off, like for a long, long time. Yeah, like over and over again, pushing that same boulder up the hill and being cut off from what you really wanted. And all the while you were transforming through the tension that you felt in ways that you couldn't even see. Anytime you came up in contact with somebody who was grinding against you like a little piece of sand, you know, you were adjusting. And you were leaving behind sadness about, I think, things not being fair in your childhood, or being like maybe even taken advantage of as a child. Yeah, this is just stemming from some really deep wounding of maybe even not being recognized, or being misunderstood, or misrecognized. Yeah, I think you were really misunderstood because of this. Like being the strong and soft person at the same time was really distracting you from expressing yourself in the highest form. And presently, Spirit, and now you have collected a lot of your pieces back. You may meet somebody, you may have just met somebody, or like be repairing a relationship with somebody. Yes, it is. It's something about a relationship with somebody is now being repaired through patience and recognition of abusive patterns. This is a 7 to 8 month cycle. You're adding love to a situation that was very dramatic, and it's your soul contract to do so, to be devoted in this way and to have hope. So it's like you weren't doing the wrong thing. You knew what you were doing, and you're still doing it, but you're now going to be doing it from a different level, like a subtle change in the angle that you're taking. Instead of doing the same old thing, you're doing the same thing from a different level, because you've organized and figured out some things about it. That your thoughts create your reality, so I think you're going to get more meticulous with what your thoughts actually are. And the future? And this is your inner thoughts, you know. The future is you're going to understand this from an entirely higher level. Big picture view. There may be some travel, long distance travel in store for you. You may be just starting to see new opportunities. There may be like a fork in the road for you to make a decision, but it's fortunate, like you can't go wrong there. And also you'll be leaving behind a soul contract that has expired. Like that contract that you had, you'll be fulfilling it, and then it will have expired. And it doesn't mean that, it means that you'll be freeing the chart. It means that you'll be freeing the contract. It doesn't mean that you'll necessarily be freed from relating to this person. Expired soul contract. You may want to look at your astrology. It may benefit you to look at your astrology on this situation, and specifically your synastry. And that will show you like what the tensions and issues are, and if those can be transcended, then you carry on, right? Yeah, there's certain energies that are going to be active that will give you hope, I think, in the situation for your day-to-day living, and to do it a new, forward-thinking way, a way that is good for everyone from that bigger picture view that you will now have of the situation because of this, of all of these things you went through. And I gotta say, when Spirit's pulling out Ariadne in your past, it's like, this was a very long cycle. This has taken a long time. You know, make sure you're patting yourself on the back for even staying committed to this whole situation, because it was difficult. But also, once you do realize and accept it how it is, then you're going to be able to look at it and reap its rewards. See what you learned from it, you know? Once you're no longer in like the monotony of just trying to fulfill it. Okay? Wow, well done. Thank you so much for being here with me. Alright, so that's really great. It looks like I can do the 15-minute reading, but it is a little bit of like talking fast. And I do worry that some people will not enjoy being left with that depth of information to process on their own. So I guess I'm going to have to feel it out and go shorter with people who you know, are just not ready for that kind of depth. So I think it's going to be fun, and it'll work out just fine. I'm not nervous about it. I just thought to do due diligence, you know, for organizing my own self, that I should just see what it's going to be like. And looks like it's going to be fun, fine, and I hope that these readings were actually helpful for you. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I'll see you next time.